It was big news when a giant container ship lost a lot of its cargo at sea. But what this cargo was exactly was a well-kept secret, at least until two unauthorized divers went looking for it with permission. They hoped the secret contents of the cargo would make them rich, but this was not the case at all, because their discovery gave them no other option than to alert the police. Finn and Bill secured their oxygen tanks and dove back down again. Now that they had finally been able to locate the containers, they could barely contain their excitement. They cut this mysterious container's last lock and watched it slowly fall down. When they finally got inside, the divers had to take a second to process what they saw. How is it possible that no one had come for this cargo? But what did the divers find inside the sunken cargo ship? And why did they feel the need to call the police about it? The weather changed way quicker than anybody expected that day. The wind quickly picked up, and waves as high as houses slammed into the ship. Because of this, the ship began to tilt. It was chaos on board. Most of the men could hurry to safety as they watched almost all the cargo disappear. Some of it fell on top of other containers and some of it into the water. The crew had no idea what to do. They knew that recovering the cargo was impossible, so they didn't waste any time even trying. All they could do was stay safe and wait until the worst of the storm had passed. After that, they could focus on getting to the closest harbor. Not long after the cargo fell overboard, the crew started to receive strange messages and threats. Word spread around the ship that one of the containers had belonged to an important person who needed to get his cargo from the water. People started guessing what could be in the container that was so important. The rumor went from crew member to crew member until it reached Bill and Finn, two experienced divers who worked on the ship. As Bill and Finn looked into what the dive would entail, they realized that it would be the most difficult one they'd ever attempted. Even though they were experienced, they only went diving for fun. Bill and Finn usually like to explore caves or a few small shipwrecks just off the coast. The dive to reach the containers would be exceptionally deep and dangerous. Preparation ended up taking several months, and there was one key change to their original plan that had the chance to change absolutely everything about their mission. Instead of trying to manage the dive on their own, Bill and Finn hired 4 additional people to assist them. They also rented 2 boats and the best equipment they could afford in order to identify the right container and film what was inside. They needed cameras, monitors, and lighting. Finally, the day of the dive arrived. They used the scanners to search for the containers and found them right where the team expected them to be. Everyone was more than ready to get into the water and begin their search for the mysterious container. But there was one thing holding them back. One of the men, Jack, had spotted an unexpected problem. Jack showed everyone else what he was concerned about. On the monitor, there was some kind of large animal nearby that seemed to be staying close to their boats. They were worried about sharks, but the creature on the screen seemed too big for that. What was in the water? The team decided to be patient instead of rushing in and risking a shark attack. After a few minutes, the animal disappeared from the screen. Bill and Finn could finally take the dive they'd been waiting for. But it seemed like as soon as they dove in, everything about their plan went wrong. The conditions were even worse than they'd expected. The water was freezing cold even through their expensive gear, but Bill and Finn refused to give up. They dove deeper and used a rope system to pull themselves along. Each of them carried a camera to hopefully record what was inside the container. When they reached the first group of containers, the doors were all tightly secured and locked. Bill and Finn knew they would be and had brought tools to break the locks. One by one, they broke off the locks and prepared to check out the cargo. Only one detail seemed different from what they'd imagined. There were only 10 containers in that part of the ocean. Bill and Finn's team hadn't expected the containers to be light enough to move in the current, but maybe they were wrong. They knew they didn't have enough time to search for the other containers that day. But then something caught Bill's eye. Bill noticed that one of the containers had even more security features than the other containers. There were chains wrapped around the handles instead of a plain lock. And the lock that was there seemed sturdy. They didn't want to damage the cargo, so they took their time breaking into the container. The two men worked on breaking in and took turns attempting to cut through all the chains. When they finally made it through, they barely had enough oxygen to make it back to their boats. They had to resurface before opening the container and seeing what was inside. They regrouped at the boat and came up with a plan of attack. They dove back down with inflatable equipment that would help them carry many more objects to the surface. They got themselves to the container door again and shined their flashlights inside. The container was nearly completely filled up with a large machine of some sort. Staring into the belly of the container, Finn and Bill's torch beams caught a mechanical behemoth. "It's some sort of filtration system," Bill murmured, running his hand over its gleaming surface, puzzled at how it was still functioning. While examining the complex filtration setup, Finn's light shone upon an attached clear compartment. Inside were laminated photographs of locations and unfamiliar faces, as well as intricate documents that were hard to make out. Beside the machine was a small control panel equipped with input ports and blinking lights. Finn carefully pulled out an object that resembled a waterproof modem with encrypted data transfer capabilities. While engrossed in the mystery, a muffled thud echoed from above. Using his torch, Bill scanned the murky distance and noticed a shower of fine bubbles. "Someone else is here," he mouthed to Finn. From the shadows, vague outlines of divers with unknown insignias emerged, heading straight for the container. "They aren't here for a leisure dive," Finn thought. A wave of panic setting in. The mysterious group seemed to be systematically scanning the seabed, inching closer. Understanding the imminent threat, Bill signaled Finn to ascend immediately. They deployed their emergency balloons, allowing them a quicker yet safe ascent. Reaching their boat, Bill and Finn pulled themselves aboard, panting heavily. As they removed their diving gear, a low rumble reached their ears. Turning around, they spotted a sleek black vessel cutting through the water, moving at high speed in their direction. Without a moment's hesitation, Bill fired up the boat's engines. Using their knowledge of the local waters, they made a beeline for the serpentine channels that snaked between the islands. The channel's shallow waters would be perilous for a larger vessel, giving them an edge. The roar of the engines echoed louder as they accelerated through a particularly narrow cavern. Bill could barely make out the roof of the cavern and navigated using memory and instinct. In them, the black vessel hesitated briefly at the entrance before turning around. They'd lost their pursuers, at least for now. Amidst the intricate network of islands, a concealed cove provided the sanctuary Bill and Finn desperately needed. The immediate threat seemed distant now, replaced by the gentle sounds of lapping waves. Finn started laying out the items they'd retrieved, the laminated photographs, the encrypted device, all under the soft glow of their boat's lantern. By dawn, the two decided it was time to loop in the law. Finn dialed the local Coast Guard, detailing their discovery. Soon, an encrypted channel connected them with higher authorities. Bill emphasized the importance of discretion in the threat they'd experienced. Given the enormity of the discovery, a joint task force was quickly constituted. It comprised seasoned divers, cyber experts, and intelligence operatives. The mission: to uncover the mysteries of the submerged cargo. Bill and Finn, being the primary discoverers, were integral members. With the task force on board, the duo guided the larger vessel towards the container's coordinates. With drones, enhanced lighting, and cutting-edge communication tools, this wasn't a simple dive. It was a full-scale operation. The dive commenced. As the bubbles cleared, the task force converged around the container. Bill and Finn, leading the way, felt a renewed sense of wonder, coupled with caution. With each revelation, more questions arose, drawing them further into the depths of the enigma. As footage of the sunken container and its mystery surfaced, the media latched on. The story was too tantalizing to ignore. A submerged container, cryptic finds, a mysterious chase. News outlets worldwide broadcasted the unfolding drama, with millions glued to their screens, awaiting updates. With encrypted devices spread across the main deck, a team of cyber experts huddled around, attempting to crack their codes. As more data was decrypted, connections began to emerge. The network wasn't just extensive, it was colossal. Links pointed toward a syndicate with tendrils reaching across continents. An underworld so discreet, yet so profoundly influential that its name sent shivers down spines. The CIA, MI6, and Interpol became involved, turning the investigation into a massive collaborative effort. In-depth probes revealed the syndicate's expansive operations. From smuggling to cyber warfare, their reach was unparalleled. Coordinated raids took place globally. From the alleyways of Bangkok to penthouses in New York, key players were rounded up. Interrogation rooms worldwide hummed with activity as authorities pressed for information, attempting to dismantle the syndicate piece by piece. Yet, the core remained elusive. The mastermind, the puppeteer pulling the strings, remained a shadow. Despite their successes, investigators felt the weight of the chase, knowing the head of the snake was still at large, plotting its next move. With fresh insights, the task force prepped for another dive. Armed with new tools and a refined purpose, they aimed to study every inch of the container's unique design. They believed it held the secrets, the key to the entire operation. The sea, however, was unforgiving. Strong currents and reduced visibility made the dive treacherous. Teams faced equipment malfunctions and navigational challenges, yet their determination was unwavering, pushing through adversity to unravel the container's mysteries. Unmarked divers, skilled in combat, began their descent to intercept the task force, making the investigation a battle for survival. Understanding the immense value and risk, authorities fortified the container's location. Naval patrols, underwater drones, and advanced surveillance ensured the site's protection. Amid the fortified container site, a tent buzzed with activity. Leading engineers and code breakers were flown in, poring over the machine's schematics. To the amazement of all, the machine was more than just a filter. It was an advanced preservation and encryption device. As investigators pieced together the machine's origins, a shocking pattern emerged. Similar modus operandi, unresolved thefts, and missing art pieces from the past started aligning. When details leaked, the world was stunned. News outlets ran marathon coverage, discussing the ingenuity of the criminal empire and the mysterious machine at its heart. The revelations sent ripples across nations, with leaders and citizens alike grappling with the scale of the deception. Deep within the machine, a hidden panel clicked open. Inside, neatly arranged, were rows of suitcases. Bill and Finn, breath held in anticipation, gingerly opened them, their lights reflecting off the treasures within. Each suitcase unveiled a marvel, from age-old paintings that had vanished decades ago to stacks of currency from various countries. The enormity of the find was breathtaking. The art, priceless and irreplaceable, represented history and culture. The money, meticulously cataloged, hinted at the syndicate's vast wealth. Bill and Finn stood back, the weight of the moment settling upon them. From a simple dive to the heart of a global conspiracy, they had unearthed a treasure that was beyond imagination. Their journey, fraught with danger, had culminated in this pivotal discovery. Honors poured in, medals, accolades, and interviews. Bill and Finn were celebrated as modern-day heroes. With the evidence in hand and public outcry at its peak, the syndicate's empire began its descent. Raids, arrests, and trials marked the end of its dark reign. Its leaders, once shadows puppeteering from behind the scenes, now faced the glare of justice. Museums worldwide rejoiced as the stolen art made its way back. The pieces, symbols of heritage, were lovingly restored to their rightful places. As for Bill and Finn, Their incredible adventure became the stuff of legends, inspiring countless tales of bravery, discovery, and the eternal quest for truth.